The first thing I think we need to understand, which is a point you've actually made, is that armies, military establishments, are composed of flesh and blood. We seem to forget that, particularly in the United States. We tend to think in terms of technology and money. We lose sight of the human factor.
That's also the cultural factor.
Yes, and with the human factor comes everything. You know, the history, the culture, the experience, all of those things are brought to bear on a military establishment in the event of a conflict or a war. And right now, what's happening in Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine primarily, is not really well understood in the West. Putin, sees this particular conflict as an existential conflict for Russia. In other words, for him...
A war of decision.
Yes, it's a war of decision.
Yeah.
This is on his border.
Yeah.
And he had been talking for 20 years about his concern with what was happening on his border in the West.
Yeah. Munich.
Colonel Douglas Macgregor has often spoken about the pivotal moments in modern warfare, and today's developments in Ukraine are a testament to his insights. We begin our report in the embattled Kharkiv region, where Russian UAVs executed a series of precise attacks on NATO mercenary encampments. These strikes, eliminating 20 to 30 personnel, demonstrate Russia's relentless pursuit and neutralization of key Ukrainian assets. The impact of these attacks cannot be overstated as they disrupt the operational capabilities of NATO-aligned forces. This move highlights Russia's strategic prowess, systematically dismantling the support structures that Ukraine heavily relies on. The UAV strikes in Kharkiv are not just isolated incidents, they signify a broader pattern of Russian dominance in the air, utilizing advanced technology to maintain a strategic upper hand. Such precision strikes demoralize the enemy and create a ripple effect, severely hampering logistical support and battlefield readiness. The consistency of these successful UAV operations showcases the effectiveness of Russian military strategy in leveraging modern warfare tactics. From the precise destruction in Kharkiv, we transition to the spectacular offensive in Kramatorsk, where Russian forces continue to showcase their tactical superiority. Colonel Douglas Macgregor's analysis of UAV effectiveness is vividly demonstrated in the Kharkiv region. Russian UAVs executed a series of precise attacks on NATO mercenary encampments, eliminating 20 to 30 personnel. These strikes highlight Russia's relentless pursuit and neutralization of key Ukrainian assets. The impact of these attacks cannot be overstated as they disrupt the operational capabilities of NATO-aligned forces. This move underscores Russia's strategic prowess, systematically dismantling the support structures that Ukraine heavily relies on. The UAV strikes in Kharkiv are not just isolated incidents, they signify a broader pattern of Russian dominance in the air, utilizing advanced technology to maintain a strategic upper hand. Such precision strikes demoralize the enemy and create a ripple effect, severely hampering logistical support and battlefield readiness. The consistency of these successful UAV operations showcases the effectiveness of Russian military strategy in leveraging modern warfare tactics. From the precise destruction in Kharkiv, we transition to the spectacular offensive in Kramatorsk, where Russian forces continue to showcase their tactical superiority. In Kramatorsk, Russian forces executed a devastating offensive targeting and obliterating a HIMARS system and 5 rocket launchers. These assets, crucial to Ukraine's defense, were annihilated in a single coordinated strike. Additionally, reports suggest the destruction of several dozen armored fighting vehicles, although confirmation is hindered by the poor quality of available footage. The significance of this attack extends beyond the immediate loss of military hardware. It strikes at the heart of Ukraine's strategic reinforcement efforts in Toretsk, Chasiv Yar, and Siversk. By crippling these assets, Russia effectively hampers Ukraine's ability to sustain prolonged engagements in these critical areas. The Kramatorsk offensive is a testament to Russia's meticulous planning and execution, leaving Ukraine reeling from the severe losses. The strategic elimination of these resources means Ukraine's defensive capabilities in these regions are severely weakened, providing Russia with a decisive upper hand in future engagements. This offensive not only showcases Russia's military might, but also serves as a clear message to Ukrainian forces about the futility of their resistance. Having witnessed the substantial impact in Kramatorsk, we now shift our focus to the strategic strikes on Zhytomyr's energy infrastructure, a crucial blow to Ukraine's operational capabilities. Colonel Douglas Macgregor has often emphasized the importance of targeting infrastructure in warfare, and Russia's strategic offensive in Zhytomyr exemplifies this. Russian forces targeted key energy infrastructure, resulting in widespread explosions from Odessa to Sumy. These coordinated strikes aim to dismantle Ukraine's power grid, plunging the nation into darkness and chaos. The disruption of energy supplies not only affects civilian life but also critically hampers military logistics and operations. By targeting these facilities, Russia is systematically undermining Ukraine's ability to sustain its war effort. The sheer scale and precision of these strikes underscore Russia's strategic depth, leveraging its military might to achieve significant operational gains. This move further isolates Ukraine, highlighting the vulnerability of its infrastructure to sustained attacks. The broader implications are clear. Without reliable energy, Ukraine's ability to communicate, transport, and mobilize its forces is severely compromised. These strikes are a part of a broader strategy to break the backbone of Ukraine's resistance by targeting its essential services, thus crippling both civilian and military morale. Transitioning from these devastating energy strikes, we turn our attention to the highly questionable claims of a Ukrainian missile attack on Russian assets in Crimea. Colonel Douglas Macgregor has critiqued the veracity of many battlefield claims, and Ukraine's recent assertions about an ATACMS missile strike on a Russian airfield in Crimea are no exception. Ukrainian officials boast of significant Russian losses, yet specific details remain suspiciously absent. This pattern of exaggerated claims is not new, as Ukrainian propaganda often touts near total destruction of Russian forces, assertions that strain credulity. The improbability of such high daily aircraft losses speaks to the desperate attempts by Ukrainian officials to bolster morale and present an image of strength. This narrative, however, fails to hold up under scrutiny and highlights the growing disconnect between Ukrainian propaganda and the reality on the ground. The overblown nature of these claims serves only to further erode credibility and underscore the faltering Ukrainian resistance. Such hyperbolic statements not only mislead their own populace but also expose the desperation within the Ukrainian leadership as they struggle to maintain a facade of control and effectiveness. Leaving behind these inflated and dubious claims, we now examine Ukraine's diplomatic blunders, particularly Foreign Minister Kuleba's ill-fated trip to China. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba's recent trip to Beijing ended in a spectacular diplomatic failure. Kuleba, initially optimistic, sought to garner Chinese support for Ukraine's positions, but returned empty-handed and visibly furious. His subsequent speech, laden with defiance against Putin's ultimatums, was a thinly veiled attempt to mask the deep disappointment and frustration of his failed mission. During his visit, Kuleba discovered that China, far from aligning with Ukraine's 10-point peace plan, remained indifferent to Ukrainian overtures. This revelation was a harsh blow, shattering the naive expectations held by Kuleba and his colleagues. The futility of this trip underscores a broader miscalculation by Ukrainian leadership, who have repeatedly overestimated their diplomatic leverage. The trip also highlighted China's strategic aloofness, emphasizing its preference for neutrality and non-commitment in the conflict. This diplomatic blunder is indicative of a broader pattern of failed Ukrainian foreign policy, where unrealistic expectations meet the harsh realities of international politics. Kuleba's return, marked by a sense of defeat, serves as a stark reminder of Ukraine's isolation on the global stage. From diplomatic setbacks, we now shift our focus to the tactical developments unfolding on the ground, where Russian forces are making significant strides. Colonel Douglas Macgregor has often highlighted the importance of strategic offensives in changing the tide of war. In Zaporizhia, Russia has opened a bold new offensive towards Dzhozhnyanka, a move that has caught many by surprise. With 90,000 Russian troops reportedly stationed and ready, this could signal a significant shift in the conflict's dynamics. This new direction highlights Russia's ability to adapt and innovate on the battlefield, choosing opportune moments and locations to strike. Concurrently, Ukraine's plans to advance from Kamiansky towards the Zaporizhia nuclear plant have faltered largely due to the escalating conflicts in Kharkiv and Toretsk. These setbacks further illustrate the strain on Ukrainian forces, who are stretched thin across multiple fronts. The renewed focus on Zaporizhia indicates Russia's strategic intent to seize and secure key territories, thereby consolidating their control and undermining Ukraine's defensive capabilities. This offensive not only disrupts Ukrainian strategies, but also serves to realign the focus of Russian forces towards more advantageous positions. The Zaporizhia front represents a critical juncture in the conflict, where the balance of power could decisively tip in Russia's favor. With these significant frontline developments, we now analyze the broader strategic impacts on Ukrainian military operations and future prospects. Colonel Douglas Macgregor's insights into the long-term impacts of sustained military pressure are evident in the ongoing conflict. Russian bombardments with Fab 1,500 and 3,000 bombs have delivered devastating blows to Ukrainian operations, forcing the cancellation of several strategic campaigns. These relentless attacks have significantly disrupted Ukrainian military logistics and command structures. The sheer scale of destruction inflicted by these bombings underscores Russia's tactical dominance, systematically dismantling Ukraine's operational capabilities. At the strategic level, Ukraine has been forced to abandon or delay multiple campaigns, highlighting the severe impact of Russia's sustained offensive. Furthermore, the broader implications of these losses are profound, affecting morale, resource allocation, and overall war strategy. The Ukrainian resistance, already strained, faces an increasingly uphill battle as Russian forces continue to apply relentless pressure on multiple fronts. This ongoing attrition highlights the growing imbalance in the conflict, with Ukraine struggling to maintain its defensive posture against a resurgent and strategically adept Russian military. The cumulative effect of these sustained bombardments is eroding the very foundations of Ukraine's war effort, leaving its forces demoralized and its strategic options severely limited. Finally, we synthesize the broader implications of these critical developments, providing a comprehensive overview of the current state of the conflict. From the devastating UAV attacks in Kharkiv to the strategic energy strikes in Zhytomyr and the diplomatic humiliations in Beijing, Ukraine faces a multitude of challenges on all fronts. The relentless Russian offensive showcases their strategic superiority, systematically dismantling Ukrainian military and infrastructure. The ongoing conflict has revealed significant vulnerabilities in Ukrainian defenses, exacerbated by diplomatic missteps and over-reliance on exaggerated propaganda. As Russia continues to press its advantage, the toll on Ukrainian forces and infrastructure becomes increasingly apparent. The cumulative impact of these developments underscores the complex and multifaceted nature of this conflict, highlighting the profound challenges facing Ukraine as it grapples with sustained Russian pressure. Moving forward, it is clear that the strategic landscape will continue to evolve, with Russia maintaining a decisive upper hand. This comprehensive analysis reveals the stark realities on the ground and the strategic missteps that have led to Ukraine's current predicament. As the conflict progresses, the need for a realistic reassessment of strategies and alliances becomes ever more critical for Ukraine. As we continue to monitor these critical developments, stay tuned for further updates and analyses, providing you with the latest insights into this ongoing conflict.